Hi, it's Scott from One Man Band here. This is a shield made for wind players in the band room. And it's going to be what we do today on building
with Zeke.
So we have 3 sections of 10-foot half-inch PVC pipe. I have got 4 90-degree elbows. I have 6 T's, 6 of these T's, and then an additional 2 of these cross T's. And in the description below, you'll see a link to my rough diagram of how this is going to look, and I try to really show where these are. So that'll build our frame, the PVC pipe. Oh, I forgot about the 45s. Thank you very much, assistant. That's why you're here. The 45s, I have 4. I'm sorry, I have 6 of these. Hopefully I've got 6. We'll see once we start building if I actually got 6. When we get to it, I've also got this vinyl, this clear vinyl that I got at a craft store. It stands 4.5 feet tall, and I got 2 yards of it to cover my my frame. And I've never worked with these before, but these eyelets are pounded in with a hammer, and I'm hoping they're kind of self-cutting through this vinyl. We'll see once we get there, and I might have to come up with some things. Are you gonna be my hammer? All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the PVC pipe frame. I'll fast forward once we start cutting these, but I'm gonna use a PVC pipe cutter. I basically have 3 sizes I'm gonna cut. I'm gonna use 2 of these pipes to cut 4-foot sections on, make a bulk of our frame, as well as some 1-foot sections. And then the remaining 1 pipe will be used to do the horizontal pieces. I made it so that it's 20 inches, which I felt was like wide enough for a body, and then 10 inches that'll be angled out to be the legs of the base to hold everything upright. So with the help of my helper here, we're gonna start cutting pipe. Alright, so now we have our pieces cut. It really didn't take that long, did it? No, medium amount. We had a little problem. We got to the very ends of pieces because there was about a 1/2 inch to shave off, and this made it a little bit tricky. The nice thing about PVC pipe is it's pretty forgiving, and so as you put it into the adapters, there's a lot of kind of, I can push it in halfway or 3/4 of the way, and that'll give us some cushion. I'm not going to glue these, at least today, because I'm going to put it all together and make sure it all fits. So what we're going to do next, we're going to put the frame together. And it's going to involve my assistant. Again, I saved this this piece. I've got an extra spare piece chunk. It's about, I don't know, let's see. It's a little over 4 feet, because I think that's about how tall you are. Of just for some scrap pieces, because what I'm going to do is put 1 flat piece and then angle out 2 pieces with this 45. But the way it's got to connect, it's going to have to connect into a T and then into the 45. So I'm going to need maybe about 3 or 4 inches of pipe to be able to connect these 2 pieces together. So we're going to now start by putting the whole thing together. I'm trying to do is to create an angle. I am taking this T section and I'm attaching a 45 to it. But it won't hold there by itself. I need to have pipe coming out at each side. About an inch of pipe goes into each section. So if I cut a 2-inch piece here, I'll put an inch in, I'll have an inch sticking out, and I'll be able to stick the 45 there. And that way I'll have a nice wing on my shield. So I wasn't too sure when I started this exactly how I was going to do it, but that's how I'm going to do it. So now back to the cutting board, as they say. So now let me show you exactly what I meant. Is I've got my 45, I've got my T, and I've got a 2-inch piece of pipe. I'm going to put the 2-inch pipe on one side of the T, maybe, and then I'm going to put my 45 in. I'm going to keep it at 2 inches. Hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt when I'm done, but we'll see. Yeah, you like that, don't you? Because it didn't quite go in. But I like round numbers. I don't like to be able to figure out like 7/8 or 1/8 or whatever. So we're going to just keep it at 2 inches. We'll see. So now I've got my base, and I just want to take a second to show you. I've got a 90 elbow, 10 inches, that 45-degree elbow with a 2-inch pipe, and then the T. I made it 20 inches from here to here, and then it's a reverse. So now we're going to build the next thing up, which is just a 1-foot piece of pipe. Alright, so now we've got the base. This is the part that I'm hoping to detach to use the other part of it as a horn shield later on. But I wanted to get up to 5 feet. It just seemed like the right height because I'm a pretty tall guy, I'm about 6'2", and when I sat down and was at 4 feet, my eyes were about level with the shield, and I felt like it's probably not right. So we'll get up to 5 feet. I'm also basing this off of one that I saw at a college recently. All right, so next step is going to be adding the next layer and then building up from there. So we're going to start with, I need T's and X's, 2 of each. All right, so now we've got the next part of our base. It took a little bit longer only because I messed up. Yeah, I had put these are 1 foot and these are 10-inch, and I mixed them up essentially. But this already has like a nice structure to it, so I really feel like it's going to be something solid that's not going to continuously fall apart in the band room, which is a big deal. So the next thing we got 4-foot sections going in, and then the top rail. Keep the hammer away. My iPad's sitting right here. So, all right. So this is where this thing's going to get pretty tall because it's sitting up on a bench. I'm hoping that these wings are wide enough to keep this thing steady. I cut it down from the original size I had seen when I went to Concordia College to look at these. They had 20 inches and 20 inches here. And I just felt like that was a little bit too big for my purposes. Plus, it would have gotten into some weird numbers for the PVC pipe, and I would have had a lot of spare stuff. And I'm really trying to make this so that when I use a piece of pipe, I use the entirety of the pipe and don't have a lot of little pieces here and there. I hate waste. So that's why I changed it. We'll see if that bites me in the butt here in a little bit. Yeah, well, it's up on the thing. Okay, so I've got the frame built here. Really, I think we're only about a half hour in, and the frame's already built. I anticipate the next part might take me a little while because I've never worked with grommets and vinyl. I don't know how it's going to work exactly. But here's my frame. To set it on the floor,
Dad, now there's only accent.
it feels like it's maybe a little bit wobbly. If you're concerned about that, I would extend these out the extra 10 inches or maybe another 5 inches or so. Do the math on your own. Again, I wanted this to be flexible afterwards, and so I didn't want it really big. I wanted it to be as compact as possible. I think that there's some solutions to maybe even putting some sand in the pipes, and that'll help weigh it down. But that being said, I don't think it's going to knock over unless somebody intentionally does it. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the vinyl sheeting on here. What I'm going to use to do that, hold it right there, are these grommets that I bought at the craft store. I'm going to go up close to the camera here so you can see. I've never used these before, so I'm anticipating some issues. There's some instructions on the back. It's going to be with a hammer. So what I'm doing is I made the part that's going to have the plastic on, this top section that's 4 feet, and the foot on the bottom won't. And I'm overlapping it. I want to be smart about this so that I don't cause a problem when I want to change these into French horn shields. And so I'm going to be careful about where I put the grommets and the zip ties. I'm overlapping. It's 4 feet here. But the sheet of vinyl is 4.5 feet. That's what they sold at the store. So hopefully you can find that as well. And I'm overlapping it on all the edges. Honestly, especially at first here, I don't care if it looks a little sloppy. I mean, in the end, I'm hoping to clean it up. But right now, it's about making sure I can build this thing in a way that it'll be useful. So I'm about ready to make some marks for our grommets and our grommet test. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use this piece to test out my grommets because I've never done this before. So I'm going to go over here next. I'm hoping I don't have to cut a hole beforehand. I'm hoping that the hammering of the grommet will do all the work, but we'll see. So, had a little bit of a failed experiment because I had the wrong pieces, but then we turned it into a win. This is just a leftover sheet of vinyl, and I was able to get that grommet to go in there. It's a little loose right now, I had the wrong piece. So I think I'm going to go forward with doing these without punching a hole in the vinyl first because the tool did a pretty good job of that for me. I'll come back and we'll see if that is something I end up regretting. So this was the practice sheet. The next thing I'm going to do is make a few dots in the vinyl where I want the grommets to go. I'm going to try to keep these a little bit away from the frame so that the zip ties pull the vinyl a little bit tighter over the frame. I don't know exactly how far. This is going to be that part of that trial and error thing that I like to do. So I decided to use 6 grommets for now. We might change that once I put this together, but what I'm going to do is cut to a video now of us putting a grommet in so you can kind of see the process. All right, so we put a dot in about 2 inches in from the frame, and that'll help us pull the vinyl a little bit tighter, and maybe even give us some leeway to be able to do it if things stretch out. I didn't want to punch a hole in the vinyl first because I'm worried that it'll continue to tear, but it was a little bit more difficult to punch in. So I just took a knife, and this happens to be a very sharp knife, and I made a little X in here. Actually, I cut myself a couple times doing this, but and that's just going to help me get the beginning of that grommet through. So we take an end of the grommet like this. We're going to push it through that hole. If you've got something that makes a better hole, obviously use that. Maybe even, I don't know, maybe I should have been more clever about this, because now if I cut this here, let's see what that does. I've never used these grommets before, so I put the one end of the grommet in, and then I grab another end that's got the teeth on it, and put those two things together. And then it comes with this little anvil that we line up with the grommet and the tool. And really, I just take the hammer. It's a pretty light hammer, so I have to swing a few times. It's really pretty cool what that does. And then that grommet is really holding that plastic piece. All right, so we have our frame. We have our grommets in place. So now this will be the test to see if this is going to work or if there's some redrawing that we need to do. All right, so we've got this thing really pretty close to being done. I ended up putting 2 zip ties in each of the corners to pull it in both directions, to pull it up and over and down and over. I'm not really liking the way it's sitting in the middle. And so I think I'm going to try to, well, actually I think I'm going to leave it like this for now. I might come at you with an update here eventually. It's not really tight in the center, but I'm worried about causing some problems and having to redo all the vinyl. So I think what I'm going to do is just wait a few days and see how this all ends up kind of cinching up. All right, so here we are with the finished product. I was a little surprised at the cost because I didn't calculate this. I was just buying stuff yesterday, and I went through my receipts and finally kind of looked at exactly what these things cost. I thought I was going to be able to do this for about $25, and that is about how much the PVC pipe costs. But then the vinyl was another $12, and the grommets were another $10. So really, I'm almost $50 in, and in fact, probably after taxes, I am $50 in. I'm going to see if there's a way I can make this a little less expensive, but I don't know if I can. So is $50 worth it? I mean, I think so, but I also at $50 can't make a whole lot of them, so then I'm not sure it is worth it. Because if I can't have everybody in the room behind one of these, you know, what's the purpose? And obviously the research is still being figured out. So I will say that I think I've made it in a way that I can repurpose the frame again, and I'll change it into a French horn shield in some way, shape, or form. I'm not sure the vinyl will do the job of reflecting the French horn sound, but you know, I'll do some tests on that later. If you are curious about that part of things, please comment below, and we'll keep in touch over that process. So, $50 for the finished product. I'm happy with the work I did, although I lost my little helper. So thanks a lot. One of those, but really it's pretty much the same thing. It's just about 8 feet tall instead of 4 feet. Actually, this is 5 feet. So you could probably just do double the size of things almost and get there.
And if you want to stay safe, do not play with hammers or knives.
Yeah, without an adult, essentially, right?
Yeah. Until you're 13 or 12.
13 is the age in which you can start playing with knives.